This is always, I find, very beneficial. And I'd like to begin with a few updates. First of all, I'd actually like to begin with roll call, see who all is here for establishing quorum. Mark Boyce.
Here.
Thank you. Maxwell. Johnson.
Here.
Thank you. Conrad Longan.
Here.
Thank you. Conrad. Roman.
Yep.
Sherlock. Thank you. Peter Ray is not here. Okay, Jay is not here. JJ is not here. Emma Kelleher. Me, obviously. David Mitchell. Kim Rankin. Here. Thank you. Stuart Westland.
Here.
Thank you. And Leanne Schneider. And then board pending, Susan Farragut. All right. Okay, first of all, I'd like to begin by giving a few updates. We recently had 2 track members resign from the committee for personal reasons. Richard McDaniel and Richard Powell have both left. We want to thank them for their services and their contributions. And then we're also pleased to welcome new track members. Leanne Scheider is joining us. In addition, we have today Susan Dargish, who is right there. She is a former track member who is expected to rejoin the committee pending board approval for appointment this month. And I'm familiar with her because she and I both serve on the track bicycle pedestrian committee as well. So and she gives great input there, so hopefully. Okay, now this is the point for public comment. Do we have any, Juan, do you know any public comment anywhere today from your? Okay. All right, at this point, I'd like to make mention of the fact that I spoke with Darden Rice and with Juan about comment, and about how we make comment and when we make comment as members of the track. And our input is really very valuable, but I think it's very helpful if it's handled in a certain way. And so I'm going to ask Darden to speak with you all about how the best way is, and one, the best way is to get your input to PSTA so that it's likely to get the outcomes that you want.
Thank you, Gloria. I'll start off real quick and then I'll hand it off to Juan. First of all, thank you very much. There's a lot of new faces here and we're really delighted to see everybody as we continue to build and grow the Transit Riders Advisory Committee, old faces and new faces. And your input and your insight and your experiences are really important to us, and it's really important for how we determine our policies and improve our services so that we can work to get better every day. So one of the things that Juan and I wanted to talk about is just a little reminder that for some things that you want to relay to us to let us know about what's happening with your experiences, don't forget that we do have a CSR, a customer service representative hotline. It does work. And sometimes if we try to bypass it and create another system for tracking feedback and responding to issues, it can cause a little bit of a problem. So always feel free, hey Jay, always feel free to use that at as a resource. But we know that you want to have your voice heard, and that sometimes it's also useful to know that when you contact us, that you're a member of TRAC and that we've all heard what you've had to say and that Juan and I know what you have to contribute. So in that case, I strongly urge you to also use our group email that will go live tomorrow. It's the TRAC, TRAC, at psta.net. And that way, it's a record that all of us can see, and that Juan and I can work amongst ourselves of how to delegate the follow-up work and how to communicate back to you the progress on that work. As you can imagine, when folks call maybe operations and then call planning or maybe call marketing, what happens is we all start to respond to that call. And so now we have 3 different departments working on the same issue. We bump into each other. It's not very efficient and it creates a lot of confusion. So the one point of contact always, no matter what, is TRAC, TRAC, at psta.net, and that goes directly to Juan and to me.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because we want to hear you and we want feedback, but it just helps us be more efficient to respond to it and track it in an orderly way.
Yeah, and what we want is for your experience when you're using our system or any other programs that services that we offer, that your experience is a good one. And if you're not having a good experience, we want to make sure that you have someone that you can contact. We do have our info line, we have our online comment form as well. But if this is a problem maybe that persists, or maybe there hasn't been any follow-up, let us know, and that way we can follow through, making sure that these experiences are resolved, and if you have any other issues, that we can resolve those as well. So it's important that we funnel that communication so that we're able to efficiently address certain issues that are happening out there on the road. Because you're riding the buses, you're out there either early in the morning, midday, and so we want to make sure that we help address those issues and that your voices are being heard, because you're representing your region of the county, but you're also representing all of the riders that use our services.
Good, thank you. And then also, I wanted to do a couple of introductions. I think all of you are familiar with our chair. I'm sorry. My brain is going crazy right now. Brad Miller is the head of PSTA, who is here with us today.
Good to see all of you.
And we have 2 board members here today. We have Max McCann and we have Deborah Big Sanders. I'm thrilled that you're here because we always, whenever we come to the board meeting, we say, oh, please come to our track meeting, and it's nice to have the presence of our board. They are the ones that ultimately make choices that affect us. So, thank you very much. Okay. The next item on our agenda is to talk about the board of directors meeting, which was met on March 25th. And the meeting was a short meeting. During that, the board approved both the consent agenda and the 2030 vision plan, which had been previously presented to us by Director of Human Resources, Patricia Collins, at our meeting. So, Mr. Miller, did you have any other comments about the board meetings or from the board?
Well, actually, I don't know how many of you actually attended a board meeting, but I've attended many. And I think it possibly was the shortest meeting we ever had.
Yes.
It went very smoothly, like I said, but it was impactful because we adopted a new strategic plan, which kind of like guides the next 5 years about what the projects that you guys are gonna see here at TRAC. So it's a good meeting. We got a more robust agenda next week. At this month's meeting, might take a little longer.
Yeah, it's always, and you can attend it or you can watch it online too. That's, if you're ever interested, because it is very helpful, I think. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the Forward Pinellas report, and traditionally we've had our representative at the Forward Pinellas Citizens Advisory Committee give a report. We don't have a person at this point. And so the track representative to the CAC is a volunteer position where a track member attends with some virtual options available. And the monthly CAC meetings occur on the 4th Thursday of each month at 7 p.m. And the representative then gives us an update. Again, I think there's huge value of having track be represented And as I mentioned, a couple of us are on the Bicycle Pedestrian Committee for Forward Pinellas, and we always speak of transit issues as well, Representative Well. But again, if anyone's interested in being the CAC representative from TRAC, please let us know, because that is very, very, very helpful.
Does anybody, I think,
Ron and I talked about that the other day, and I'm interested in that position. And and I know Ron has reached out several times, and so I said, Ron, are you still looking for somebody? So I'm interested in that position, and Ron and I are gonna talk about that.
Oh, good. And thank you very much. That'll be wonderful. That's very helpful. Okay, the next item on our agenda is we need to approve the meeting minutes from January, February, and March.
Motion approved.
Okay, so Conrad makes the motion and Jay is second. All in favor?
Aye.
And anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, now we're going to talk about the next item on our agenda, which is an item called the Activate St. Pete grassroots group focused on safer streets, better transit, and more walkable, bikeable communities in St. Pete. And Darden is going to be presenting the transit-oriented development of St. Pete to talk about the changes to the zoning in St. Pete, the draft zoning overlay for Sunrunner corridor that will make housing more affordable.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Darden, Chief of Planning and Community Affairs. And this is, I think, kind of different for TRAC because the TRAC committee has been asked to sign on to a letter of support submitted by Activate St. Pete. And the letter is in support of something called Sunrunner Transit-Oriented Development Overlay. And so as we get started, and I'm doing my best to keep this on the short side, just because we do have some new people, just a quick recap. What is the Sunrunner? What is transit-oriented development? What does the Sunrunner Transit-Oriented Development Overlay actually do? Why it matters, and should you sign on to a letter of support? So first, about Sunrunner. Oops, sorry. Okay, we'll go with that one, sorry. So the Sunrunner Bus Rapid Transit runs about 10 miles along the Central Avenue corridor. It connects downtown St. Pete to St. Pete Beach. It launched in October of 2022, and overall our ridership has been growing. Bus Rapid Transit, also known as BRT, that means dedicated lanes, real-time arrivals, and faster, more reliable service than a standard bus route. Even though there's new rules that we no longer do, like the red dedicated lanes, there's still other ways, like such as using transit signal priority, queue jumping, and whatnot. We can still design new future BRT routes that accomplish premium transit. The question before us today is the housing, the land use, and the transit along this corridor in St. Petersburg, is it set up to support each other adequately? And that is what the Sunrunner TOD overlay is designed to address. So what is transit-oriented development, or TOD? Raise your hand if you've heard this term or are somewhat familiar with it. Okay. So imagine going out your front door and everything that you need is within a few blocks. Your coffee shop, your doctor, your grocery store, a park where kids can play, safer sidewalks, and access to a bus that gets you to downtown or the beaches or anywhere else in minutes. And for those who use paratransit to get around, or who are elderly, this proximity isn't just a convenience, but it's the kind of independence and the kind of community to live life more on your own terms. So for decades, we have built cities around the car. Parking lots instead of storefronts, drive-throughs instead of sidewalks, strip malls instead of neighborhoods. It made driving easier and everything else harder. So transit-oriented development, you can also call it community-oriented development, really turns that logic around and says that to build housing, businesses, services, and transit closer to each other, then let people choose how they want to get around. And when we build, not only just for cars, but for cars and people, our communities get stronger, housing gets more affordable, and transit gets more useful for everyone. So that in a nutshell is what TOD is all about. So what does the Sunrunner TOD overlay actually do? So this overlay, it's a new set of voluntary zoning rules that applies to the Central Avenue corridor in St. Petersburg. If you see before you, by the way, Carrie passed out a map that you can take a look at of the overlay. And there's also a copy of the letter from People Over Pavement. That is the letter that you have been asked to sign on to.
The map is attached to a colored copy.
And when you hear terms like Chapter 16 or LDRs or land development regulations, I know you can probably, your eyes can glaze over really fast. But the reason why land development regulations are so important is because these are the rules that determine what our community looks like. Who has a voice in determining those rules? You do. So what the overlay does is that property owners can choose to use the existing zoning or opt in for using the Sunrunner TOD zoning. In short, TOD zoning allows more housing, more local businesses, and more mixed use, more density near the Sunrunner stations. It prohibits drive-throughs, gas stations, car washes, uses that generate a lot of car traffic but works against transit. The overlay sets design standards that puts walkers and riders first. It emphasizes activated storefronts, pedestrian-friendly streets, buildings that are oriented towards the sidewalk. Most importantly, it eliminates minimum parking requirements near every station. The requirement to build lots of parking for businesses and houses goes against what we're trying to build in the Sunrunner corridor. So this is why parking reform matters to riders. Under the current rules, developers must build a minimum number of parking spaces, whether anybody needs them or not. Each required parking spot can cost anywhere between $20,000 to $40,000 in development cost. Those costs get passed on to you in the form of rent. Parking minimums mean less space and money parking minimums can mean, the requirements for parking can mean less space and money that would be available for housing, local businesses, and the kind of places that riders would like to have near their Sunrunner station stops. Now, removing the minimum requirement does not remove parking. It does allow developers to build what the market actually needs. In a sense, it's sort of like, you could even think of it as enhanced property rights to allow people to build more what they want to build for what they actually need. Would you be sticking your neck out by voting to support this? Well, not really. The city's Development Review Commission has already reviewed this and voted 7-0 to recommend 0 parking minimums. St. Pete City Council voted unanimously on April 16th to also adopt a similar resolution to get rid of the parking requirements and to have that extend not just around the stations, but throughout the entire corridor. So more housing and activity near stations means more riders, and more riders means stronger, more frequent service. So what you are being asked for today is to sign on to the letter that is right in front of you. You'll see that there's about 30 other organizations that and businesses and non-governmental organizations and neighborhood associations that have signed on to the letter. If you have questions in particular about the letter, we do have Max McCann, who is also a member of Activate St. Pete, who can answer any questions you have about the letter. And St. Pete City Council votes on May 14th at the second hearing and adoption of this matter. So that's my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions. Max, did you wanna before?
I wanna clarify one thing, can I do it just from here?
No, sit at my
Come over
chair.
here? Okay. Yeah, just to, in the interests of being hyper technical, DRC voted to recommend removing parking mandates from the overlay. DRC did not reach whether parking mandates should be removed from quarter miles around the stations.
Oh, okay, thank you,
Just to be hyper technical.
thank you. Very important clarification.
Question?
Conrad.
So what what I heard you say was, you want us to collectively vote on whether we should add our name to this list or not. And then if we vote on it and say we want it, then our name would be put on it.
Correct.
Okay, I think it makes a lot of sense, and I make a motion that we do that.
Seconded.
I'm wondering if there's anyone who is opposed to that. I was gonna say, can we have it so that that a majority of the track or something, I don't know, yeah. Did you have a question, Mark?
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, it's just a simple majority vote.
Question, I believe this is the kind of thing I'm totally against, but who are we, let's call myself part of the crowd here. Who is opposing us besides me? Like who wants to keep it? The City Council of St. Pete? No?
Well, I don't wanna speak for council,
Oh,
but the
well, I mean,
council
maybe-
vote
let's
was
hope they've
unanimous.
spoken about something like
The
this.
council vote at first reading was unanimous. They have the opportunity for a second vote on May 14th. To answer your question more directly, some of the voices of opposition were from the historic Kenwood neighborhood that were concerned about the parking prohibitions that would lead to what's called invasive parking or intruder parking. They're worried that people would start parking more in the neighborhoods in front of their houses. So as a response, as I understand, I think the staff was open to looking into what's called a parking permit project. That would be more a question for the City of St. Pete staff.
Yeah, because it would eliminate some of the parking that's already there, and then they would have to push out, so to speak, yeah.
That's the concern.
Ma'am?
Yes, this is.
Just a really quick question. This is future parking though. This won't affect the parking that currently exists on First Avenue?
Correct. It's for future development. So future development, a future developer can opt into the current zoning laws or they can opt into the Sunrunner TOD overlay.
Mhm.
The reason why it's an opt-in is because the state passed a law prohibiting local jurisdictions from passing land development rules that restricted future growth. So the status quo is there. There's no moving that, but people can opt into this, either A or B.
To further clarify, this would only affect off-street parking on private property. This would not affect any of the existing on-street parking.
They're right to be worried about invasion of cars, because we've got that happening out on the beaches. Now as more and more communities are charging more and more for parking, other coastal towns along the barrier islands are suddenly seeing beachgoers showing up and parking outside their houses because there's no prohibition to it. So that is a valid concern. But it's something we addressed. We did it with, okay, you need a parking permit to park in our town, so.
That's what's done.
Mark, do you have another question?
It sounds like I'm in some kind of communistic vortex here. We're talking about taking the rights of property owners away to be able to put parking on their own private property?
No.
No, to be clear, it's not saying that. What it is saying is it gives the property owners the option to, so right now, okay, let's say you are a developer and you're building a townhome or multifamily housing complex on a parcel of land. The city requires you to have a certain number of parking spaces per residence. And this is giving the developers an option to either continue to do that or to reduce the amount of parking they want to build per residence. And it's also for like retail, like if you ever go like in front of like the big stores and like they have a sea of parking that's never filled, that's due to parking minimums. You're required to have like a parking space for like every 1,000 square foot of retail space. So this allow them to opt out of doing that. They could still build parking, they just won't need to build the sea of parking that they currently are required to build.
You can do it, you don't have to do it.
Well,
Yeah.
we're outlining, who is City of St. Pete themselves, it's only regarding the City of St. Pete, correct?
Correct.
And the City of St. Pete political leadership is for this? So then I should have no opinion on
No,
it? Or are they for it or aren't they for it?
Well, they voted, they unanimously, they seem
Said-
like they're on their way to approving it, yeah.
So I wouldn't think they'd need our help, you know, if the City of St. Petersburg City Council, that's their representatives, and so why would we be, like I live in Pinellas Park and I'm gonna sign on to say St. Pete can't, I don't get it.
Because transit-oriented development is a concept that's compatible with the best types of transit planning, and that this would be, this would help set in motion similar approaches along the SPART corridor and the Alt-19 future BRT corridor.
By the way, Mark, I wanted to say something because you talked about, you know, communist state. It's actually quite the opposite, because right now the rules require that they put in the parking. They're not allowed to opt out of not putting in that certain amount of parking. This actually gives them the opportunity to control their own land a little better and say, you know what, we don't need to have that much parking here. And so we're gonna make it better.
If the St. Pete leadership, you know, wants this to happen, then I support it 100%. If they wanna make it illegal to build gas stations, cause it's gonna attract cars, like you said in the presentation. And if they're gonna listen to a professor who was dead a year ago and was born in 1938 as the authority on this, you know, I don't care. I'm just saying, if you're asking me as a tract member who lives in Pinellas Park to sign on to something to tell St. Pete residents what to do, no way.
Okay, that sounds.
That's it.
that sounds good. But we can still say the majority, but that we
Certainly.
can say there was opposition too.
You don't
Well, we
even have to
haven't
say
had-
it,
Well,
I was, yeah.
you just ask for the vote.
Yeah.
And it passes, and then
Okay.
it passes or it doesn't. I mean,
All right, well then, I know that are there any other comments or questions? Because I think Conrad made a motion to,
I made a motion to accept it
I seconded.
and what it was seconded.
and it's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Absolutely.
Right, so the motion does pass then, we can put the transit right advisory committee on.
thank you.
And then the last item on our agenda is, it's a presentation by Devin Deal of Premium Transit.
Hello, good afternoon, committee, chair. My name is Devin Deal, Planning and Data Analyst Manager, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about premium transit. I know that Darden just talked about transit-oriented development and how premium transit really helps facilitate that kind of development and the usefulness of it. I'm gonna go a little more in detail and talk about some of the projects that we have upcoming in the future here at PSTA. So first of all, I think what makes transit premium? I think we have the Sunrunner and the Spark, and there's a lot of features of those services that is premium. The Sunrunner has bus lanes, it has the raised stations so that if our riders have a bicycle or a wheelchair mobility device, they can easily get on the bus with level boarding, because one, that keeps the route running faster, and two, that's easier for our riders with mobility issues or those bringing on a bicycle. We have operational enhancements like traffic signal priority, where if a bus is running late and it's pulling up to a red light, it might send a signal to that light to make it turn green faster. And we're looking at implementing that on the Sunrunner corridor as well as in the Spark corridor. It has those improved passenger amenities like I talked about. It can have raised stations or larger shelters, more real-time information at the stops so that it's easier for our riders to figure out when the next bus is coming. Also, more importantly, the service is frequent. It runs frequent enough to actually be useful for you as a rider. In the cases of the Sunrunner and the Spark, that service is every 15 minutes. You don't have to, fiddle around with the schedule, figure out when the next bus is coming, how you're gonna get home, is this bus gonna be running? You just know it's gonna be there when you walk up there and you need that service. It also connects you to where you need to go. If you're going to the beaches, if you're going to the doctor, if you're going downtown, if you're going to get lunch. Premium transit gets you where you need to go, fast, frequent, and easily. And those are really the goals that we try to address with premium transit, that makes a good transit product for us as an agency, that people actually want to ride, that people choose to ride. And so one of the projects that we're working on is along alternate 19. So currently the Route 18 runs from Grand Central right here along Central Avenue and then makes its way up to alternate 19 and takes alt 19, passes the Bay Pines VA as our only service that pulls into the VA, and continues all the way up alt 19 to Park Street Terminal in Clearwater. Our alt 19 premium transit project is looking at implementing a model similar to the Spark and the Sunrunner in this corridor, where we have fewer stops that are spaced a little farther apart so that these buses can operate faster, more frequently, and more efficiently. Right now, the Route 18 at midday, it'll take you an hour and a half to 2 hours to get to Clearwater. If the bus is running on time, it's a really long trip. What this project would do, and what we're looking at, is that kind of premium limited stop service with TSP enhancements would reduce the travel times by up to roughly 20% from St. Pete to Clearwater. So it could turn that hour and a half trip into an hour and 10 minutes, maybe an hour and 5 minutes. That's 20 minutes that you can get back every day in each direction of your trip. This would increase frequency on one of our highest ridership corridors in alt 19. This route is about 50 miles round trip. We have about 90,000 residents who live within a half a mile of this route. And we have one right here. This will really increase the service, the frequency, and the connections on this route. And this is also in conjunction with some land use changes throughout Pinellas County that the municipalities themselves are working on with Fort Pinellas. So that's our project on alt 19. We're also looking at what we're calling the 727. This will provide service from downtown St. Petersburg to Tampa Airport along 275. This route would start in downtown St. Petersburg, serve down there where about a dozen of our bus routes connect, including the Sunrunner, and then hit 275 and take you straight on 275 utilizing the express lanes to Tampa Airport. So because there would be no in-between stops on this service, this would be competitive with car travel time. You get from downtown to the airport in about 30 minutes. So, you're not taking an hour and 10 minutes to get there on a bus whenever you could get there in 30 minutes in a car. That it makes it a little less competitive. So with this limited stop service able to utilize those express lanes, we would see competitive travel times to car travel to really, one, it's good for people who need this service to the airport, but two, it helps us entice those riders who are maybe on the fence, who might not feel like driving to the airport. And if they can get there in 30 minutes on a bus, why not? This service would operate 7 days a week within our existing budget. And this would also connect, as I said, with the Summerner and about a dozen other bus routes that we have in downtown St. Petersburg. But these projects that I talked about, we aren't just coming up with in a vacuum. Everything that we do here at PSTA, we are working with the municipalities, with our local partners, and with FDOT. And this is all part of Ford Pinellas's investment corridor framework. So what you see here is the priority corridors and the secondary corridors that Ford Pinellas has identified. We have the Summerner was the first leg of our priority corridors. We implemented the Spark last year. And you can see all 19 is identified as a priority corridor. We have the rest of US 19 going all the way up through to Pasco. We have along 275 going over to the airport. So all of these services that Ford Pinellas has identified, we are working hand in glove with the municipalities, with FDOT, and with Ford Pinellas to implement these premium services in the priority corridor so that all of you can get around faster and easier in Pinellas County. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions. Awesome. So, Conrad.
Are you saying it only stops at downtown St. Pete and goes right to the airport?
The 727, yes.
Why can't it stop someplace else?
Like Gateway?
Like Gateway or I don't know, at the dog track or at why couldn't they like the 300, there is a parking ride. Why couldn't they look into, I mean, there's a multitude of housing near the dog track. Couldn't they look about having a parking ride or something? And because I understand you want to get in and get out. So, and there's plenty of places up there, in my opinion, that would allow that so that they wouldn't be subjected to having to stop and go and stuff like that. I just don't think that's a good idea.
I think you are partially correct, but with the dog track, and we also looked at stopping at PSTA, for example, the bus can't get back on the express lanes if it stops there. And part of the reason for this project is to utilize those new express lanes that are opening to keep that travel time fast. If we stop at PSTA, it adds about 20 minutes just to stop at PSTA and then get back on the express lanes. And the dog track,
why can't it be somewhere? To me, it just makes more sense to be, everybody has to go all the way downtown. Okay, why couldn't it be an alternative route? In other words, like some of our routes now have changed a little bit. Why couldn't it be, we have the 6 o'clock one leaves from downtown and goes straight to the airport, and then the 7 o'clock leaves from Gateway, goes straight to the airport and comes back, and the 8 o'clock goes straight from downtown? Why couldn't it be a more rider friendly so that you see, because people, in my opinion, that live in Pinellas County where I live don't want to, they want to use this service, but they don't want to go all the way down to St. Pete.
We do have an option to connect to the airport in North County. We have the Route 300. It starts on Olmerton at a park and ride, and it runs along Olmerton, serves PSTA, and
I
then
realize
continues on
that,
to
but
the
it
airport.
takes, it doesn't, it still continues to stop and stuff like that. So, me personally, I don't get it. I don't.
In the interest of
think
time, because I
that-
know we have some other comments.
In fact, I've brought up before that I've always thought that those they're not, well, they used to be X's, but the routes that
Okay,
went to Tampa should terminate at the airport and return, so that you can make more, instead of going all the way to.
okay.
Help me
Conrad,
out,
we have
Jay.
other questions and we are kind of tight on time, so
Okay.
I'm gonna.
That one,
those-
Jay,
No, those are helpful inputs,
What?
I think, yeah.
what's that place in
Marion.
Marion Station.
Oh,
And that way they can just run back and back and back, you know what I mean?
I will say, to get a little technical, going to Marion adds a lot of time on the route. When we schedule it, we have to look at the running time that it takes to get from A to B to C to D.
That's what I'm saying, eliminate it.
This would not go to, 727 would not go to Marion Street. It would be downtown St. Pete straight to the
That's what I'm saying, but the other ones should eliminate that too, in my opinion. Because they can always ride the bus from wherever they get in Tampa and go.
Those are good questions.
That way you can spend more time running from St. Pete to Tampa without having all that.
I saw other hands. Who else had
If I could,
comments?
1 second here. If what you're saying is with this route, it follows the express lanes. And to put alternate stops here takes it off the express lanes and defeats the whole purpose of it, right?
In a nutshell, yeah.
Okay, that's all I have to say.
Yes, sir.
The 100 is gonna cease, or it's gonna
Yes.
continue? Oh, the 100 is gonna cease?
Yes.
Oh, God.
oh.
And we haven't had the money for years to add weekend service to the 300, which I could use.
Correct.
But we have money.
This is within the existing budget. There is no new money for this.
That's 'cause
It is
they're
within
canceling
every
the
single
100.
existing
Okay.
penny of the 100.
Other
Oh,
questions?
So,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're saying there's not gonna be any transportation in the future going over the Gandy to South Tampa?
Correct.
Yeah.
Devin, what's the best way to get, I mean, obviously there are people who have some pretty clear points of view here. I mean, do you want them to speak with you directly?
Sure, yeah,
um,
absolutely.
And make your, send emails with the information that you're requesting and maybe you can come back and tell us what you've heard and if there are modifications appropriate. I mean, does that sound like a good solution? Yeah, rather than having this, okay, because obviously there are people that have a pretty strong point of view about this, so. Okay,
Sure, and so I'll be sending that track email tomorrow, and so look for that email, and then you can forward all those questions or comments,
that'd be awesome.
suggestions to us, and then we'll share them with Devin.
Would it be possible for us to all get together in those video conference things?
That's our meetings, our monthly meetings, that's what that is.
Our next monthly meeting will be a video conference,
No, but
that'll
I
be on
mean,
May
to
12th,
just-
but
Like if there were 7 people that wanted to speak to you, we could all get together at once.
Well,
And
we have
video
to
chat?
advertise that because
Publicly
we have to advertise it and it adds a lot, we cannot just join the impromptu meeting,
I realize that.
yeah. So, but basically he's asking if the, like,
can it
make
be
a
publicly
committee,
noticed though? Can
Yeah.
we do that?
a committee.
Okay, that's an interesting, because not everyone, I'm a North County person, and so I don't necessarily, I don't have a strong point of view on this, but some of the people obviously do.
Give it 100, I definitely,
Okay.
it's a strong point of view.
No, there you go, okay. Any other comments or questions? Well, thank you so much.
I'm sorry, I did.
Yeah, go ahead.
Going back to the Alt 19 plan, like how far along are we into that plan?
We're early in what's called the CIG, the Capital Investment Grant Program. We're finalizing our application for that program, and we'd be looking at a project start date for construction probably around 2030.
Okay, thank you.
And when the airport run?
October.
October this year, okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Well, I think it is time for people to, get their opinions to you for review, okay. Very good, well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, that is it for our agenda. Now, I know that they're going to be taking photographs too, and so I think we need to, can you take photographs while people are still doing any kind of commentary here?
Yeah.
I hear people are raising their hand. I know like Kim, for example, has a ride, she
Yeah,
needs
she has to leave in like 5
the people
minutes.
who have to leave maybe can get there.
Well, if you lose quorum,
We're just losing one person at a time.
okay.
Yeah, and we've got enough that I think we're still within quorum right now. Okay, before we,
I wanna bring up something new. I'm very disappointed with the fact that when I go to a bus stop that has the the old signage where it used to be a bus route and a bus numbers, that the only thing there is a bus route. Because I don't know what the reasoning was, but it's, to me, just makes my head explode. How do I know when the next bus, or how can I plan on multiple bus routes when I can't look at can't see a schedule? And please don't tell me to get the app. What if my phone's dead? What if I'm a person that doesn't have a phone? What if it's something that I wanna do to look at, to make notes for it ahead of time? Why do I have to sit on the phone possibly and call somebody and then wait the 5 minutes or 6 minutes that I might be on hold? Why in the world did you take away that printed schedule?
I can answer that question. Because we did bring it to track.
Yeah.
This Amanda Barrett, Director of Communications and Marketing, we did bring that decision to track before we made it.
Yeah.
Workshopped it with you guys. The departure board that has the map does have, we removed the timetable, but it does have a frequency chart on it. So you don't need the app, but it does show how frequently that bus is going to run. If it's every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes, during what.
But it doesn't tell me when the first bus is and when the last bus is. It doesn't tell me, so I'm looking at that little thing, I know it's there. It says it runs every 30 minutes. Every 30 minutes from when? When I just got there, did the bus just get here 30 minutes ago? Is because some buses they run a different schedule on the weekends rather than they run on the.
And there are multiple time charts for weekday, Saturday,
So I know, so what you have to do is you have to be a mathematician.
No, you use the app. Honestly, everything you're describing, the app really will give you that kind of answers that you're looking for. And you can see when the next bus is coming and when the next one after that. I appreciate what the efforts that have been made, but it's
But
like,
not everybody has an app.
And the goal of the frequency chart was to actually make it easier to understand. It also, every time there is a schedule change, a time point change of even 1 or 2 minutes, and we have to reprint all of those schedules, it costs PSTA tens of thousands of dollars.
If
So
I can
by,
interject here, please, because I can answer his question. He's right, especially, this is the biggest question at Park Street Station. All the charts are up there and the routes are up there, but there's no timetable. And exactly what he's saying, the average customer at Park Street does not know, they can't read that. I mean, it's because it doesn't say, I'm trying to figure out when the 18 leaves Park Street to go to Largo Mall so I can catch the 59 to Indian Rocks. You can't figure that out anymore because there's no timetable on that.
Text message? No, I use a text message.
I use the app all the time, okay, but I mean, what the average person, I mean, he's right in what he's saying. When you go to the big screens, there's no timetable. There used to be a timetable there, and it said the 18 leaves at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, down through, and there's none there anymore. And so you can't figure out, I'm trying to get on the 18 and to go to the 59, you can't do that anymore because there's no timetables.
And not only that, when there's 2 or 3 routes.
Juan has something he's gonna tell.
I think Roman brought a good option that we have, and that's you can either call or you can text a specific number, and then you can get that information given to you, how long the bus is gonna
Every
get
bus
to you.
stop has.
Not after 8 o'clock, you can't.
Text
You can
message is
still
automatic.
you can still text. So if you still have a phone, just any phone, you can
Not
still
when your
text.
battery's dead.
Well, sorry about that.
Well, okay, I understand your point of the $10,000 or $20,000. So why can't they have it at least at just the big places like Parkside, downtown Clearwater?
we do have handheld printed schedules at those locations and that are manned customer service windows. All you gotta do is go up to the window and ask for a timetable, and they will hand you one.
Okay. Maxwell, you had something.
I see what the basic problem here is. You've been proposing digital solutions to, and I mean this respectfully, analog brains. In the sense that this is people that are not used to solving their problem with their phone. And phones, the batteries die, they're not always the most reliable, sometimes the app doesn't wanna load, or the app needs to update. And hey, I don't have any Wi-Fi, it's not gonna update for 30 minutes. Oh, well, I totally missed the bus that I needed because I was looking at my phone instead of looking for the bus. I've had that happen. So, yeah, the paper schedules, the printed schedules still serve a purpose. And I do understand, because a lot of ridership is still, again, respectfully, of a generation that is not used to solving every problem with their phone.
I print them out sometimes, yeah, go ahead. Jim.
But no, I actually like one of Conrad's suggestions about I personally appreciate the new thing you just told you, like we have an hour or whatever. But like one thing Conrad said, you don't know when it starts.
We
So,
can
like,
first trip
yeah,
last
like-
trip going forward.
yeah, so, like-
We're working on a redesign
Yeah.
of those to make those charts more prominent. I know that they're very tiny right now. The next order, they're going to be larger, and we can add first trip, last trip.
Yeah, that'll be because if you can add that and then if you it comes every hour, okay, so if it starts at this and it's always the same on those days, then it's easier to calculate. Oh, okay, so at 5 after the hour the bus will be here. Because right now you just have to already know that the bus comes at 10 after. So the next hour will be if you don't know that.
Yeah, so we can certainly add like first trip and have the charts be bigger so that it's,
Yeah.
starting at 7 AM, it's gonna be every hour or whatever it is, so.
Like especially like the first time it stops, maybe if not at that stop, because I know we have these at more than just time stops. But like maybe, because like in the past they will have the whole route and then they will have the time points and then they have the schedules. So maybe the first trips at each of the time points on those,
We
first
can
and
add that
last.
maybe to the map.
Yeah, that's what I might like.
Yeah.
I like that. Because then it's easier to calculate, okay, every 30 minutes, okay, boom.
I know it starts at this location at 6 AM.
Yeah.
It'll be here roughly half an hour.
Exactly.
Yeah, Mark.
Sorry to be all negative today. We had a good time on the ferry though, didn't we? Just people from the Council of Dunedin, that was fun.
Yeah.
Hey, but if you haven't been on it, ride the ferry from Clearwater to Dunedin, it's a lot of fun. They were talking about that though, trying to fix it. They have this stair thing and they have a problem with it.
Yeah, no, they know that.
They're trying to
They
work
have-
it out.
You're modifying.
But they're getting, they're working on it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Here's, I'm old fashioned too, I'm somewhere between analog and digital. Although, I've been an internet manager, so at the dealerships, but I've asked repeatedly, but when the updates happened recently, they drastically changed the 59. It doesn't make any sense to me what but a lot of things don't make sense to a lot of us, right? But the 4-digit code, the 41411, are we kind of abandoning that? Or, because we're not, I've brought it up, I'm a track member, right? And I've called it in and it's not getting fixed on the 59. The stop right in front of Olive Garden, it's inoperable to tell you when the 59 is coming. Whoever programmed it just accidentally skipped that stop, which is the biggest one in Largo Mall, unless you're in the mall. And so you don't know, when you go to the green sign, it gives you the stop number. It doesn't tell you when the 59 is coming. It only tells you when the 18 is coming now. So, I'm out there tired and I'm going, where the heck is that thing? All of a sudden there goes the bus, there goes the bus. I'm sitting there looking at my phone and he's flying by. I didn't even yell at him, but I called it in and it doesn't get fixed. And then I came to the front desk. That day I missed you and a nice gentleman came out and I explained the whole situation. And since that time, I can give you the whole setup all the way on 59 in front of the Largo Mall, and it's not working properly. So you can't get from a lot of those stops, specifically the one in front of Olive Garden. They just forgot to program it to show the 59 when it's coming. You know, you go to the other stops on 59, it could tell you, it could be one that's got a 300X stop, and it'll still tell you. But they just didn't, and they haven't fixed it.
Okay.
So, you know, it would be great, I think that's
It
helpful.
And
was
so-
working yesterday.
Not the one in front of Olive Garden.
The one in
What
front
else
of
is missed?
that store where it had First Stop or whatever that stop, the main stop at Largo Mall.
So he's talking about the one on
The one on Overton?
No, the one inside Largo Mall.
Oh, yeah,
real
but
quick.
the average person doesn't
Okay,
walk
Nicole's
into
got
there
something.
to get, I'm talking.
Well, I mean, that's where the stop is for the 18 and the 59.
I'm talking about a specific stop, that would be the one that is
wanna
right
take
in
my
front of
picture?
Olive Garden, it's a
Okay.
major stop.
Keep talking about this, but people have to get in line to get their picture taken.
Real
Yeah.
quick,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mark, so I just did UID 3742, the one that's right in front of the Olive Garden. Because the 59 is coming up on when I text 41411, it is on there and it is in the real-time transit feed. I just double checked it. It should be in there. So if you're having an issue, I think I would like to look into that a little further because I was able to at least just
I've got all the
check
stop
where-
numbers, I'll tell you what's working and
Okay.
what's not, yep.
And so one of the things that we're gonna be talking about in our next meeting is an update on Transit app. So you'll get maybe update on the features and also how to report when something is not working properly. That way we get that information and then we help address any situation that you're encountering out there on the road. So
One brief comment, and can we add the stop numbers to the stops that's on the transit app? Cause sometimes I don't trust everything, so sometimes I look at the transit app about the bus, then I look at Google, then I go on the PSTA's website, and then it asks, oh, I need a stop number. And there's no way to have it unless you're physically in front of the stop. So like and it used to be you could go on a map and find the stop number.
You can go onto Google.
No, Google doesn't give you the stop numbers.
I can address that real quick. Hi, Jacob, planning manager. So I will show you after the meeting, I'll make that a part of the demo next month with Transit app, but there is a
Okay.
way when you're in route view, when you tap on the stop, it will show you the UID. I will make sure that is a part of the presentation next month.
Okay,
Okay, thank
cause
you.
that'll be, believe me.
Can I see it?
Okay, more people, if one by one, if people wanna go get their picture, well, we all need to get a picture.
Okay. I thought we were doing headshots, but.
That's what you did?
I hope we are.
No, did my whole body. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments?
Yeah, I just wanna add to that. One of the things otherwise that makes it is because there are multiple ways for me to get to places. So then I have to do all this figuring. So if I can just look, in 10 seconds, I can determine what bus I need to go to and where I need to go. Instead of looking at the bottom and saying, okay, you see what I mean? In other words, it jumps out at me, 5:30, 6:30, and that bus is coming, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
having that thing there is way much better.
Sometimes people. Yeah, does that for me. Okay, our next meeting will be on May 12th and it will be virtual, it'll be a Zoom call. And then we can even talk at that point, we were talking about when we would have additional in-person meetings. And we will, I think we'll talk at that meeting about the subsequent meetings for the year.
Motion adjourned.
Okay. Anyway, if there's nothing else, then I'm going to end our meeting now, and then everyone needs to get their photograph taken before you leave, please. Thank you.
Right, there's no one on there.
So, okay, so wait,
Show
so
you
it's in here,
stuff.
so
To say,
and next, so
Why, go together.